We have a new ore car we're trying out underground, seeing where it derails, like just now, where the tight spots are, that kind of thing. So these first trips are never a lot of fun because there's so many spots where it derails you didn't necessarily expect. Things that's gonna, I guarantee you, it's gonna hit that vent bag right there too, which that might be fun to watch. So that's why I'm videoing now. Let's see if they hit that. Yep. Bump against that. Looks nice and easy coming up through that section we call the grotto. New additions to the mine. Got the track work coming out here now. You see this trammer that we're rehabbing. We'll look inside the guts of it. This is where the operator sits, obviously. You see forward and reverse. Sometimes it's the best way to get something unstuck.
Too far forward. Well, because I'm gonna have to reach all the way over there now. Yeah, but hopefully these hooks don't pop off now.
Hopefully just get it out first.
Yeah, let's just let it
Or not.
Oh, do you have it on the base? No, it's on the bucket.
It's just really wedged in there. We have a bit of a problem because if that's not getting it out, I don't know what is.
We're gonna have to knock it. It's just wedging it in. You have to sit it on the wheels and knock it off. It's gonna be parallel to that one when you guys rotate. We could sit it up and then you can pull up on it maybe. Try it out. This side's got the bad pinch in it right here.
Wow. Look at that.
That's why he gets paid more.
That's why you make the big bucks.
Leverage.
another day in the mine. What we're working on today is track work. We came through and tried to do some rehab work on these rails, and after running the trammer over them and taking a good look at them, they're just in such horrible shape that we're having to rip everything out and just redo them. They're just too... That's actually not a terrible spike, but some of the spikes are in terrible condition. These ties, a lot of them are more than 100 years old. The rail is very old as well. It's just bent and warped. And we've had issues with derailing. So, especially in this section, we're just ripping everything out and redoing them. This is that first 300 feet where you're having to crouch down for everything. This is the worst part of the mine to have to work in. And of course, this is where the most work is needed. It's funny how life works that way. So, what he's doing is he's pulling the spikes out. Once the spikes are out, we'll lift the rails off these old rotted ties, get those out of the way. Some of them are decent. I mean, this one in front of me is really old, but some of them are decent. We'll keep some of them, haul out the old rotten ties. The other thing we're working on is this. That is electrical cable. We're almost done getting the utilities in. This is a compressed air line. This is air and water for the refuge chamber. And then these are electrical lines. We had to haul in 933 feet of those yesterday. And they are incredibly heavy. Do you remember how heavy they were per foot?
All together it's 4 pounds a foot.
Yeah, 4 pounds a foot, which, okay, you think 4 pounds isn't that heavy, but we've got 933 feet of this stuff. So it's extremely heavy. Not cheap either. The 933 feet was, I think, $19,000. So, not cheap.
Technically 1,100 foot spools.
Okay, 1,100 foot spools. $19,000. So, we spent all day getting this in. So, they're separate lines. We've got to put these zip ties on them to bind them together. And then you can see where I'm looking for one. There's one there. We're hanging them up with plastic zip ties. You don't want a bunch of metal around the electrical cables. So,
and then another 4,400 feet of cable to roll out in the future.
Right. So yeah, we only got back to 933 with these spools, and then, as you know, we go back to 1660 so far. So we're gonna have to repeat this whole process again. So that's what's gonna keep us busy for today and probably the rest of the week. So we've gotten this rail out of the way. Now we're looking at getting this one up. I'll show you an example of how it should look soon. So this is the condition of some of the ties we're hauling out. And that's not abnormal for this mine. Like I said, a lot of these are more than 100 years old. And they just are well past their retirement date. So that's a new tie there we're putting in. And they got all these old rotten ties we're hauling out now. So this is some of the new track that we've put in. And this is how it should look. You can see we've got solid ties that are actually doing their job, supporting the rail. The rail is straight and not all warped and rusted out. So the ore car flows over it very smoothly, like butter. We've got the fish plates or connectors on here holding the rail together tightly. All the spikes are doing a good job holding the rail in. They're not all rusted out. And this is how it should look. Now we just have another, I don't know, 1,000 feet or so of this. No problem, right? So the one where I started was where the rail connects, and this is just where you've got, you know, the normal one piece of rail, not connecting two of them together. And this is how far we've gotten. So, like I said, we just ripped out the old rotten ties through that rail. I don't know if that's salvageable or not. We need to take another look at it, but this is where we've gotten to, and we'll keep running ahead from here as far as we need to. And some days it's the mundane stuff, like inspecting fire extinguishers. Back at that 1660 chamber, this is where that old workshop is. And this is where we got that big tank in. If you'll recall, we're pretty much done with timbering. As you can see, we've gotten the timbers all the way back here. That section's all cribbed up now. Got a lot of new timber supports back here. We started on this drift. Pretty flaky, crumbly ground in this one. Can't remember if I showed you all the track where the track was in already. And that's pretty much the last section that's need timbering. You can see why. Just as a reminder, why we have the timber here, timber supports here. Again, all new timber and lagging through here. This section has some, it didn't need too much, but it has some, and there's a lot farther back around that bend. But like I said, we're pretty much done with timbering for a while. So that's good. The 1660 is back that way. This is where there's that bend around this really ugly section here, which is actually a stope. If you look up that way, I don't have my good light with me right now, but anyway, that's a bad section. So what I was going to say is that the last bad section got pretty well timbered up. It's through here, as you can see. Got all timbered up in this timber gallery right here. So like I said, things are in pretty good shape now in terms of timber support. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get the hot air flowing back here from outside. Things start shrinking and drying up. We might see some more shifting of rock, and some of these older timbers could go back a bit as they dry out. So obviously we'll keep an eye on that. So I'm at Elm Street where the refuge chamber is, and I thought this was interesting. Look at the size of the plants that are growing back here. It's my hand next to them so you can see how big they are. There's some more back there. Can't hurt to hold the camera at the right angle, but there's a fair amount all through there. They're growing pretty well. There's more back there too. I don't know a lot about the kind of vegetation that grows underground, the absence of light and everything, but if anybody can identify the species, I would be curious to know.